Folks, I want to share with you guys an absolutely crazy, horrific story coming out of North Carolina. I don't have a lot of information on this story. I don't know that there's a lot available, but we're definitely going to try to find out here together because this is just terrible. I ran across a headline right here that reads, "Mom celebrates son's release from prison days before he murders her and her teen son." A North Carolina man who was just released from prison was arrested on Monday for killing his mother and brother, Dana Jenkins, 50 years old, and her son, Darren Cox, 15. Were found dead at a Wilson home. Suspect Daron Jenkins, 25, who is the slain woman's older son, had not been in contact with the family for years due to his prison sentence, family friends told the news. I don't want to offer any kind of speculation or, what it could have been type of stuff because we don't know anything about what took place here and why this guy did what he did. But make no mistake of it, a buddy is done. Just imagine what it's going to be like for this guy going to court and the judge the judge and the prosecutor are reading off the charges and explaining what this guy did just a few days after he was released from prison. This guy certainly wasn't reformed. Prison didn't do anything for this guy. Is North Carolina not doing reentry? What is going on? I'm not trying to make any jokes about this. I'm being serious saying this. How you let a guy out of prison capable of doing something like this? What's even crazier is he wasn't even locked up for anything all that violent, it doesn't seem. They said that Daron Jenkins was released from prison on March the 25th. Folks, it is only April the 7th. It ain't even been 2 weeks. Buddy's been home from prison. He's already locked back up again. That's a crazy thing to think about. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But they said Daron Jenkins was released from prison on March 25th for larceny of firearms and breaking into vehicles. Okay, so he was out there stealing guns and breaking into cars, probably looking for guns. That in itself isn't violent. To think that you never really know what a person's capable of. You never really know what somebody's going through. Forget all that jazz when it comes to what this guy did. There ain't no excuse for it. But I want to get back to something that's, crazy. And it's crazy to people who have served a lot of time. I only served 7 years, and I definitely saw this for myself. But to a person who served a substantial amount of time more than that, more than 7 years, we're talking maybe double that and beyond. They would often share with me, especially people that I featured here in the past, they would often share crazy experiences for them incarcerated. Didn't have to necessarily do with the violence or some sort of riot or somebody getting their face stabbed off. It could be something as simple as seeing a guy get released and then within a year later, that guy is back. And I'm never going to forget because it was actually just recently, a guy by the name of Cord I got the opportunity to feature whose prison story is insane. But he shared with me that there was a guy that he saw that he was locked up with. I'm trying to remember how this actually went. There was a guy that he saw who he was locked up with who he thought just got moved to the other side of the yard or something along those lines because he hadn't seen the guy in a little while. And then a year later, he sees him again and he's asking the guy hey, what happened? Did you get moved? Because I haven't seen you. And the guy tells him, he's like, no, I got released and got locked up, sat in the jail, went through the whole court proceeding, and I'm already back in prison all within less than a year. Look at this fool right here. Fool's not even a strong enough word for this person. This is a monster to do something like this. I don't give a damn what the situation, maybe if there was abuse or something like that involved. And I'm not trying to speculate in this particular case, but in a case such as abuse taking place, maybe, offing your family could be somewhat justified. What happened with the Menendez brothers? Wasn't it something like that? Maybe I'm wrong. Think of the people who are still in prison who were locked up with this guy, who are about to watch this guy come right back through those prison gates. I hope they give him what he's looking for when he gets there too. A guy like this deserves absolutely no respect. Should not be feared. Oh yeah, that guy's crazy right there. Stay away from him, man. Dude killed his mom and his brother. I've been seeing videos circulating online recently about gangs down in El Salvador. I believe that's where the people who got deported are locked up in this monster, atrocious prison at. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's these gangs down there, or this one particular gang. I'm not exactly familiar. I should do a video on it where they say part of the initiation to get in the gang is you have to kill a family member. I was going to say, could you imagine? But who in their right freaking mind would do that? What type of a third world country do you have to live in? El Salvador sounds to be plausible, where things are so bad for you that the gang life seems the best. Hey, you're going to make it out the hood with this one. That's the only way you're going to make it. But to get in, you've got to do the unimaginable. Shit crazy. The story goes on to say, I said the look on his face, he's getting ready to do something. You could see it. The look, it told you everything. But I had no idea you were getting ready to do what you did. Dana Jenkins' cousin told the news, referring to the son who was charged with murder. There's a lot to make of what she just said right there. Was this on the day that he got released? That first, reunion? Who knows? They said the police are still investigating what led up to the double homicide. Darren Jenkins was charged with first-degree murder. Should be 2 counts of that, right? He remains in jail without a bond. All right, here's a story that seems to shed a little more light on this. And another headline that reads, ex-con charged with murdering mom and brother just days after leaving prison. A North Carolina man has been charged with murdering his mom and teenage brother just 6 days after being released from prison. Darren Jenkins, 25, had walked free on Tuesday last week after serving more than 5 years for stealing guns and burglarizing vehicles, with his mom, Dana Jenkins, 50, writing on Facebook, "My baby is home, Lord, I thank you." But Jenkins was swiftly back behind bars, charged with first-degree murder of his mom and 15-year-old brother, Darren Cox, who were found dead in their home in Wilson, about 40 miles east of Raleigh. Authorities have not said how the two died or given a suspected motive. However, Julia Cornegay, a cousin who lives next door, told the news that the mother and son were stabbed to death. Their bodies found hours after she saw the suspect looking like he had just gotten out of a mental ward. What the world? The look on his face told me he had done something. His hand was cut up and he had a bandage on his hand, she said, of seeing Jenkins around 3 a.m. on Monday. Maybe prison screwed this guy up. Maybe he was messing with, the crazy drugs that are in the prison. Who the hell knows? Whatever the case is, there's no excuse for what this guy did. Horrendous situation. Here's a picture of the mother right here. Sad to think her son killed her 6 days after being released from prison. Jenkins had been showing alarming signs since being freed from prison, the cousin said. "I'm hurt because I knew he was going to do something," Cornegay said. "You can just see he was so fidgety. He was so anxious. He could not stay still. He had that sneakiness about him, like a crazy person trying to get ready to do something, like premeditation." What was this guy like before he got locked up? And was it the prison experience and environment that turned this guy to this? What is the case going to be pled in court? Insanity? His mental competency is definitely going to come into play, especially with what the cousin is saying here of what he was like just after being released. Why didn't the prison take notice of this? Like, Buddy is cooked. Buddy's all the way burnt. Prison burnt you, stick man. I've talked about PTSD from incarceration. This is about as extreme a case that could be had if it is something like that. No telling what to make of this, but this is a story that I wanted to share with you guys. If you have any other information that you've heard in relation to this, hey, share it down in the comment sections. I'd like to keep tabs to see where this is all going. Guaranteed back to a life sentence. What if Buddy's facing the death penalty for this? Do they have that down in Carolina? I would imagine that they do. But I also imagine that this guy's probably going to have some kind of insanity plea going up into this trial. who's to know? Maybe we'll get a chance to get a follow-up on this and learn more. Folks, just wanted to share this absolutely horrific story with you guys. There's no way that you could have enjoyed or liked this story, but I'm going to ask you, for the support of After Prison Show, to please consider leaving a like and a comment on this video, as that would truly be appreciated and also help us here. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!